Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Captain Lou Extravaganza Live here on the 12-Ounce Sports platform and networks, and that includes our Twitter feed, Facebook Live, Twitch, our YouTube channel, and, of course, Zingo TV, channel 761. How's everybody doing on this November the 9th, Tuesday, November the 9th? Glad you could join us here on 12-Ounce Sports. We got a great show planned for you tonight. We're going to talk a little college football. The college playoff rankings will be announced in between the State Farm Classic games going on in New York City right now. Just about at the half, I think. Last I checked, Kansas and Michigan State were pretty close. It's great to have college basketball back. We'll dive knee-deep into that probably starting next week, so stick around for that, but we'll keep you updated on the game. The first big game of the college basketball season. It's always Duke, Kansas, Duke, Kansas, Michigan State, all three of them, and usually Kentucky. So it's, again, it's college basketball's back, and it's great to see fans in the stands there tonight watching that. So I just had a chance to check it out. Kind of going to be different right now. Michigan State came into that ranked, or the unranked. Kansas coming in third. It's been, 9 years since Michigan State was unranked in preseason polls. So we'll see how they embrace the underdog mentality this year. They 15-13 last year. So again, we'll dive more into college basketball starting next week. Hopefully, we got a couple of guests. We'll talk some hoops with them and get geared up. As I mentioned, we got a great show planned for you tonight. As we said, the college football playoffs, hopefully we'll get their rankings in the second hour of our show, and we'll pass those along to you. The big story in the top six, Michigan State bowing out to Purdue this past weekend, and kind of disheartening for Spartan fans. They finally, they get on a great run. They're still on a great run. They still really control their own destiny. If they can win out, I got a feeling they can sneak back into the college football playoff, but they're going to have to win out, which means winning at Ohio State in 10 days, and then, of course, finishing up at home against Penn State. So a lot left here. With 3 weeks to go, a lot at stake in the regular season. Then, of course, they got to play in the Big Ten championship game. So we will talk about that momentarily, what happened in the college football playoff for the teams, rather. And, we'll see. Before it comes out, we'll kind of see if there's going to be any changes. There's going to be one, but we'll see who gets to go into the top four. So we'll talk about that as well. We'll talk some NFL. Of course, the Aaron Rodgers saga just can't seem to go away. He can't get out of his own way. And now we've got OBJ to throw into that. I'll give you my feelings on him and where I'd like to see him wind up. I know he won't wind up there, but, we'll take a peek at that. And I've got my own take on the free OBJ stuff that was going around this past weekend, and again, maybe I'm just too old school, and I don't know, whatever. So, and we've got some great guests lined up. Well, we've got Dylan Hebert coming up at the bottom of the first hour. He is from the World Elite podcast, and let's see what I got it written down here if I can. Of course, my notes aren't exactly the greatest. Also from the Domefield podcast. We're going to talk some New Orleans Saints football with him and some LSU football, maybe sprinkle in a little Pelicans, who knows. It's coincidentally told me he's not related to Bobby Hebert, the ex-New Orleans Saints quarterback, and, of course, Michigan Panther quarterback, for those of you that might remember the USFL days back in the early 80s. So Dylan Hebert is going to join us at 8:30. We're scheduled to have Cody Jansen from the World Hockey Report here on 12-Ounce Sports, talk a little NHL as we're a month into the hockey season. He sent me a note today, may not be able to join us. He had something come up. He said it's going to be tight. So, Cody, if you can make it, that's great. We hope that you can. If not, we'll reschedule him for next week because the NHL season's 1 week or 1 month in, and we've got some teams really playing well and some teams kind of surprising. But, my Red Wings, one of them that are above the Mendoza line. Exciting game the other night against Vegas. Now, I know Vegas is depleted, but, we got some teams really playing some great hockey. Edmonton, Florida, Carolina, Minnesota. It's incredible, some of these teams. And the Metropolitan Division is crazy. So we'll go through all of that, whether Cody comes up or is able to join us tonight or not. If he is, we'll get his take on the Jack Eichel trade from Buffalo to Vegas and the situation going on in Chicago. It's a mess there, and it's unfortunate. But I'm glad that they finally did something about it. Chicago replaced their coach. Joel Quenneville resigned in Florida, and Florida has a skip to beat. They're right there. So a lot to talk about in the NHL. We're going to go through as well. The NFL is pretty much at the halfway mark. A lot of the teams taking their byes or going to take their byes. Some of the teams have 9 games in, some have 8. So we're right at about the halfway point. We're going to go through the standings and kind of give you our feel for how the season's gone so far for the NFL. So our surprises, maybe give you our halfway MVP in the league. And, no surprise who the choices are. So we'll take a look at that as well. So, again, great show planned for you tonight. Really excited that you could join us here on 12 Ounce Sports. And, it's always fun talking sports with you here as we try to cover all the bases here, the ones that the popular stuff that's going on right now. Baseball, of course, the World Series is over. Congratulations to the Atlanta Braves who took out the Houston Astros. Now you can start talking about the hot stove season. I know Justin Verlander, and he had a pitching session last week for a bunch of teams that might be interested. He's on the market. Carlos Correa for Houston. That's one of the big names. So a lot to talk about in the offseason. We'll have Paul Shivari on sometime in December, and we'll talk some hot stove league. We'll wait till December 1st because that's when the lockout deadline or the contract, the CBA, expires in Major League Baseball. And so we'll get his take on if there is indeed a lockout, what it's going to take to get a new contract. And I got a feeling it is going to be dicey. There's going to be some hard feelings in these next negotiations for Major League Baseball. So, and also don't forget, we got another edition of the Captain Lou 6-Pack Challenge. I was 3-3 last week. The college games didn't treat me very well. The pro games did. I took Kansas City. And again, I gave everybody an opportunity on that before it was announced that Aaron Rodgers came down with COVID. I gave everybody the opportunity to go with Kansas City at even. And so because that's what I did. So I was 3-3. So I know we had a handful of people that did beat me. So congratulations to them. They're in the drawing for that $100 Visa gift card that we'll give away the day after the national championship game in football, in college football, and also that certificate to fanatics.com. So lots to talk about. Again, college football will end, pro football taking center stage as they always do this time of year. Things heating up in the NFL. Arizona. Wow. Kyler Murray was a game-time decision not to play. They didn't have A.J. Green. They didn't have DeAndre Hopkins. They didn't have Chase Edmonds after the first quarter. Who cares? They pummeled San Francisco. And, it begs to what we talked about last week a little bit. I got to give credit to my buddy Jimmy Young, play-by-play guy for hockey and high school football up in Upper Michigan. He brought this up on Facebook about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I'm kind of starting to go. I agree with him. I always have. Kyle Shanahan has been getting a free pass for a long time. He's had, I know he's been besieged with injuries, but who hasn't? He went out and handpicked this quarterback, Trey Lance, gave up a lot of picks for him, and he's got talent there. The defense is no slouch. They're 3-5. You tell me how they couldn't beat an Arizona team without their starting with Colt McCoy as their starting quarterback. And I got to tell you, it was a great showcase for James Conner because he looked good. So I tell you, Kyle Shanahan's been getting a free pass. Now you're beginning to wonder, maybe, again, I hearken back to the Super Bowl against the Patriots when they blew that big lead. And then, of course, the San Francisco appearance. I, I'm sorry. Give me a reason why I think Kyle Shanahan should be mentioned with one of the elite coaches in the NFL. And this past weekend proved it. And I'm not taking away anything from Arizona, though. They're legit. They are legit. They are definitely the best team in pro football, without a doubt. I think that they've got, just more well-rounded than Tampa Bay. Plus, they're 8-1. Tampa's 7-2. And what the hell happened to the Dallas Cowboys? I mean, I understand teams have off weeks. Look at the Rams. We'll talk about them a little bit later on, too. But what the hell happened to Dallas against Denver? Denver trades Von Miller away. And what do? They go up, 36-0 or 30-0 over Dallas? In Dallas? How do you lay an egg at home like that? Now, I know nobody's going to go 17-0 as much as we'd like to think it's possible. Those days are done. But the way the egg was laid like that, again, with the Cowboys, I know they're 7-2 now, or 6-2, whatever. They're going to win that division because it smells so bad. Although the Giants are playing a little bit better, I got to give credit where credit is due. The Giants are playing better. But come on. What the hell was that? And I'm going to talk about Matthew Stafford, too, again. I know I'm banging on him, and I did last week. How can he handle the pressure? We'll talk about Matthew Stafford right after this. We're going to take a break. Again, Dylan Hebert joining us at the bottom of the hour. We're going to talk New Orleans Saints football with him. LSU, we're going to get his take on who he thinks should be the next coach of the Tigers down in LSU. And, we'll get his take on New Orleans. Right now, they're sitting 6th in the playoff seeding in the NFC. And they're sitting pretty good. What are they going to do now at quarterback? We'll find out with talking to Dylan. And, again, we may have Cody Jansen on. I know I advertised him coming on in the second hour. He texted me earlier today, said he may not be able to make it. Something came up. If he can join us, it's great. If not, we will get in touch with him next week. We'll have him on the show to talk pucks. You're watching the Captain Lou Extravaganza live here on the 12-Ounce Sports Platform and Networks and Zingo TV Channel 761.
Ounce Sports has a new home for betting. BetUS.com is the official place to place your bets and support 12-Ounce Sports. All you have to do is go to BetUS.com and type in the promo code 120OZE and you'll instantly get a deposit bonus. This is America's favorite sports book. And remember, always gamble responsibly.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Captain Lou Extravaganza Live here on the 12-Ounce Sports Platform and Networks. And that includes Zingo TV, Channel 761. We're live here on this Tuesday, November the 9th, and just a couple of minutes into the second half over in New York City with the first of two in their State Farm Opener Champions Classic. And Kansas is up 7 over Michigan State, 44-37. We'll keep an eye on that one. NHL, we talked about the Oilers. Off to a 9-1 start, looking to go after their best, the earliest run to 20 points or 10 wins since 1985 or 84, 85, I believe it was. After one period, it's the Red Wings, upstart Red Wings on top of Edmonton by the score of 1-0. So we'll keep you up to date on some of the other scores that might be going on in the world of the NHL, and of course college basketball starting really for keeps. Now I know some of the teams that have exhibition games, and a lot of the teams are going to have warm-up games. But you got teams like Michigan State and North Carolina, and especially Michigan State, always playing some tough non-league games. I know they sprinkle a few patsies in like everybody else, but you know they start off again with this State Farm Champions Classic. Duke and Kentucky will play in the nightcap. So we will keep you up to date on the score of that. Before we went to break, we talked a little bit about Matthew Stafford and the Rams. Now, they got beat pretty soundly by Tennessee the other night. Eerily similar. If you look at what Matthew Stafford did on that one pass, it looked like Carson Wentz the week before when he threw that desperation lob, and they got that return for a pick six. Well, fortunately for Stafford, it didn't get returned for a pick six, but they ended up scoring a touchdown. Then he threw another pick six right after that. That's the Matthew Stafford we've come to know and love here in Detroit. Now, again, I'm not going to bang on him, too much. I hope he wins a Super Bowl. I really do. He did a lot of good for Detroit, a lot of good, off and on the field. But as I've said, he's got some big games coming up, and they're probably going to win 12 games. Unfortunately for them, Arizona is going to win probably 13 or 14. They've got the advantage now. In essence, they've got a 3-game lead over L.A. with, 8 games to play. It's still a long time. But we talked about this last week, and I want to bring it up again. Look at Matt Stafford's track record in the playoffs. Now, I know he's with Detroit, but, in 2011, they played in New Orleans, 11-5. They had a lead in that game at halftime. They blew it. 2014, Dallas on the road, 11-5. They had a lead in that game. Them and Dean Blandino blew it for them. 2017, this is the one that sticks out to me the most. And I'm going to go back and hark on it because my Detroit Lions haven't won a division in 28 years. Back in the Wayne Fontes era. 1994, I believe, was the last divisional title Detroit had. Maybe 93. Back when they had Barry Sanders and Eric Kramer and Herman Moore. I mean, Detroit was loaded. Absolutely loaded with talent. And, they couldn't do anything with it. Well, that play out, what really bothered me the most what really bothered me the most about that was 2017. All Detroit had to do was their last game of the year beat the Packers in Detroit, mind you, not at Lambeau. And they would have won the division, got a home playoff game, and not have to go to Seattle. And again, Matthew Stafford played probably one of his poorest games. And then the following week in Seattle, they had an opportunity to win that. They were in that game, and he didn't perform well. I want to see how he performs under pressure. We talked about this last week a little bit with Von Miller going to the Rams. They're playing for now. The pressure is ratcheted up, as I mentioned, for Matthew Stafford. Is he going to be able to perform? Is he going to be able to handle the pressure? And again, I go back to what I mentioned a minute ago. The Rams are looking like they're probably going to be the 5th seed in the NFL, which means that they will go play a road game against the lowest seeded division winner. And right now, it could be Tampa Bay, it could be Green Bay, it could be Dallas. And I worry about that. If you're a Rams fan, they got to go to Green Bay. That could be scary. Tampa, I think, is probably going to be the second best seed behind Arizona. They could be going to Dallas. That's probably the best scenario that LA could hope for. Because I know if they go to Dallas, Matthew Stafford's really going to have some extra motivation in that one after what happened, as I mentioned, 7 years ago in that playoff debacle there. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens with him. But I bring it up only because of what happened Sunday night. They looked terrible. Now, maybe it was an off night for Rams fans, and for him, I hope it was. But I look at what they did. I look at Tennessee's game plan. They had them rattled. They put the heat on them. And we know Matt Stafford's not the most mobile quarterback in the world, but they put the heat on him. And Mike Vrabel's doing a hell of a job. Now he's in a position kind of like what New Orleans is without their quarterback. Now they don't have they don't have Derrick Henry until probably the playoffs. But I think Tennessee can buy some time, even if somehow they don't win that division. I think they could sneak in. If they don't win that division, that means they're going to win 9 or 10 games, and that may get them in. Again, we'll take a look at the standings in the NFL probably towards the end of the show, or maybe right before the top of the hour. I just got a note from Cody Jansen. He will be able to join us, so excited to talk to Cody, talk some pucks here in the second hour of the show. So, again, I just look at it and I see, what is Matt Stafford, how is he going to handle it? And it's he's been anointed a top 5 quarterback by a lot of people all of a sudden, top 5, top 6 quarterback. Funny how last year he pretty much did the same thing, and he was a bottom half quarterback. That's my thing all along. So, I don't know. I hate to keep belaboring it, but I always look back on that. And this weekend's game against Tennessee was bad. 28-16, it wasn't even that close. He had opportunities in the second half to bring him back. And I'm not bitter because I put a prop bet on him to score a touchdown pass in the third quarter to win me some money. Boy, last weekend was an absolute cooler for yours truly. We call that an overtime weekend. One of my coworkers. Overtime meaning that we got to work overtime to cover the losses. I mean, who saw Buffalo losing to Jacksonville? Seriously. I mean, God bless you if you did. I mean, who saw, I didn't even see the Giants beating Vegas. I can live with that because Vegas is, in their last 18 games, 3-15 against the spread, coming off a bye, or the record was 3-15. Who saw Denver going in and laying the ass whooping they did on Dallas? I didn't. Again, if you did, God bless you. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing what some of those games last weekend, just mind-boggling. I don't know what to say. We'll talk again. We'll go through more in depth in especially the South Division of the NFC when Dylan Hebert joins us here shortly. Because I want to talk to him about Carolina too. Not only because I thought they were going to be my sleeper pick. I originally, and everybody, I had them as the second best team in that conference or in that division. Now they're the worst. How is Atlanta doing it? That's what I want to know. Intriguing division. And so it's going to be, I look at the NFL and it last weekend really brought some parity to the NFL. And I was blown away by it. I really was. And that's what makes it fun. As a bettor, you don't know. Now it really throws a monkey wrench. And even my teaser parlays went in the toilet. That's how bad it was. By the way, we're brought to you by BetUS. Speaking of that, go to 12ouncesportsradio.com/BetUS. Check out their website. And when you do, when you make your first deposit, you see it on the screen, the promo code right there, 120Z. Make sure you use that when you make your first deposit because you will get a 125% match up to $1,000. You talk about locks of the week, lock of the year. By the way, on our NFL preview show, I finally got a lock of the week right. I took Atlanta plus the points. Don't tell our guest that because he may not want to talk to me after that. But anyways, go to BetUS. Again, just the easiest way to do it is go to 12-Ounce Sports Network, or 12-Ounce Sports Radio, 12ouncesportsradio.com/BetUS, and then use the promo code 120Z, and you'll get that. You will get that bonus of 125%. Hey, let's go now. Speaking of our first guest, let's go to our Captain Lou Extravaganza guest line. And let's bring him in from the World Elite Podcast and the Dome Field Pod. Let's bring in Dylan Hebert. Dylan, how are you, my friend? Thanks for joining us tonight.
I'm doing good. How are you doing, man?
I'm great. Let's get right into it. I look at your New Orleans Saints. They're 5-3 right now, and currently sitting sixth in the NFC. I got to think that you're happy to be there. But things are kind of a little bit on shaky. I don't know if shaky ground's the right word, but kind of up in the air with your quarterback situation.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a miracle right now that we're 5-3, given the amount of injuries that we've suffered, not just at the quarterback position, but just at everything. You know, we've been down pass rushers, we've been down linebackers, secondary. We've been down our best receiver on the team all season, and then we're going to be without him for the whole season. So the quarterback, yeah, I know it sucks, but we've been down so many more injuries than just quarterbacks. So being that we're 5-3, I think it's an absolute miracle.
Yeah, I look at some of your weapons, and I see Deontay Harris is your leading receiver. Kind of surprising. Mm-hmm. What I'm waiting for, Dylan, is for Marquez Callaway and Traquan Smith to break out. And I keep, I had faith in him last year on one of my fantasy teams, but I didn't take him. I've got Callaway on one of them, I should say, but man, I've always been a fan of his. I'm waiting for him to break out and be that number one.
Yeah, I think we all are, to be honest, because Callaway was that standout in preseason. We all seen him. Him and Jameis Winston really broke out in preseason against the Jaguars. And, we all hoped that Callaway was going to be that breakout star while Michael Thomas was down, and it seems like it's been an utter disappointment ever since. Deontay Harris is a good deep threat. Mm-hmm. He's that small speedster. He was an all-pro as a rookie last year. So yeah, he is, basically our number one, if you want to call him that, because I really don't feel like we have a true number one right now. So, and with Odell Beckham getting released from the Browns clearing waivers, we are really keeping our fingers crossed that he chooses us. But right now, I'm really not sure.
That's a great lead into my next question, Dylan. I was going to ask you about him. I know it's been reported that he wants to play in Green Bay or, possibly Seattle, but I know that New Orleans has been one that's been on the radar. What if I gave you 1 to 10, 10 being yes, he's going to be there, 1 no, what would be your gauge on that?
Honestly, right now, I would give it a solid 6.
Okay.
And that's just being as confident as I can right now, because I know he says he wants to play for a contender. And I know, given the quarterback situation in New Orleans, I know it's not the greatest with Trevor Siemian being under center. And if things don't look up for him, then it's going to be Taysom Hill, being that New Orleans didn't go after a quarterback in the trade deadline. And we also didn't pursue a receiver like we should have for the deadline as well. So, given Green Bay, I know that he's going to be going into a good situation there with Aaron Rodgers, but he won't be the number one with Devontae Adams. Mm-hmm. And also in Seattle, same thing with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. He would be more of the number 3 over there. So if he comes to New Orleans, he's the automatic number 1, and he would see pretty much every single target that Simeon or Taysom Hill would give him.
And with one more thing with OBJ, I think kind of what he wants is he wants to be the man. And I think
Mhm.
in New Orleans, he would be the man. I mean, obviously you got Alvin Kamara, who I think, is the stud right there, obviously. But
Yeah.
as far as receivers go, definitely he would be the man. And I think that's what he wants, isn't it?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, yeah. He would be the clear-cut number one option no matter what.
So going back to your quarterback situation, I know that's not the only thing because I got to tell you, what I really like about the Saints is the defense. But going back to your quarterback situation, it's been how many years now that you had, you know, you had Drew Brees, and
Hmm.
what does it feel like not to have him roaming the sidelines and also being there in the huddle?
It's really different. And seeing that, his last few years in New Orleans, in that huddle, their pregame huddle would always be a speech from Drew Brees. But then with the injuries that he has suffered in the
Hmm.
last couple seasons, you've seen Demario Davis, our starting linebacker, be the one to take the helm on it. And now, pregame huddle is always Demario Davis. And I find even off the field, he is an inspiration. This guy is absolutely unbelievable. And he's very underrated, I find, as a linebacker. He don't get that credit
Hmm.
that he deserves at all. And then the quarterback situation is so different. We were so used to having that pocket passer with Drew Brees, and now with Jameis, we had someone who can escape a sack, can fight for those extra yards if he had to, and the same thing with Trevor Siemian. We've seen him do that already, so it's so different, and it's kind of weird because I don't feel like Sean Payton has that trust right now for any other quarterback that's not named Drew Brees. So I think it's going to take him a lot of time to start trusting somebody that's not Drew Brees.
Well, what I'm worried about if you're a Saints fan is, I'm going to compare it to New England, where, they spent last year without Tom Brady for the first time in 20 years, and it took them a year and change to get acclimated to a new signal caller. Now, again, Jameis Winston's obviously a little better, but they lost him. So, again, you talk about being fortunate at being 5-3. It's not so easy to replace a Hall of Famer. That's for sure.
Not at all.
You know, um, so I look at some of the your line play. It looks like it's been pretty solid for you. It's but again, if there's somebody that you're looking for maybe to get a little more production out of, with the skilled players on the offensive side of the ball, who would it be?
I think it's pretty much every single wide receiver because if you look at that at the Atlanta game, it seems like nobody could catch.
No.
Trevor Siemian passing it. I mean, and the thing is with Trevor Siemian, he's actually delivering really good passes. It's just nobody can come down with it. And the Saints decided to play football a little too late.
Yeah.
Down 24-6, I believe, at one
Yeah.
point, and with about 7 minutes left in the game, and he finally decided to start fighting back. So there was no reason why it should have ever came down to that in that game. So the receivers, have to make a play. Because if Trevor Siemian is going to be delivering good passes to you, then you need to come down with it and actually, become effective on the field. Because if you can't do that, then you're not going to win a football game at all.
How's the workload been with Alvin Kamara? I mean, is he taking the brunt of the workload, and how's his health been?
Right now, I seen in Atlanta, the game against Atlanta, that he went into the injury tent for a bit, and the Saints signed a running back, forgot who it was, to their practice squad a little while ago. Not sure, what that indicates for Kamara, but it's kind of worrisome because he is our offense,
Yeah.
and even with the acquisition of Mark Ingram, which I believe takes a huge load off of Alvin Kamara, I think the New Orleans offense going forward, if they don't somehow get Odell Beckham, I think they're in trouble if Alvin Kamara is forced to miss any time at all. Because Ingram can't do it all by himself. And, he's older now. He's not
Yeah.
the same Ingram he was when the Saints first got him. So it's kind of worrisome as a Saints fan seeing Kamara deal with a bit of injuries. Just hope he's okay moving forward.
We're on the phone tonight with Dylan Hebert. You can catch him on the World Elite podcast, also Don't Field podcast. Taking time out of his busy schedule tonight to talk a little Saints football, and we'll get into LSU here momentarily. But can this defense, you've got some big names on it. Again, I really like your defense. Cam Jordan, Quan Alexander, Marshawn Lattimore, just Malcolm Jenkins rather, some big names. Is this a defense, Dylan, that can carry this New Orleans team if they still have the struggles on offense, or if they can't find that quarterback that can be consistent for the rest of the year?
Oh yeah, 100%. This is the best Saints defense I've seen in a few years. And but the problem is going back to that Falcons game last week.
Yeah.
I guess because the quarterback couldn't stay on the field as long, and you bring that defense back out there that's pretty much gassed already.
Yeah.
And Marshawn Lattimore, not being biased or anything that I'm a Saints fan, but I see him as one of those top corners in the league. But he had problems because they had him covering Kyle Pitts of all people, and Kyle Pitts absolutely destroyed him.
Wow.
And for a Saints fan, that's very frustrating seeing your top corner who can't cover a tight end. And then, the secondary is phenomenal. You got PJ Williams, you have Marcus Williams, Malcolm Jenkins, but then you've seen CJ Gardner Johnson, who's been phenomenal on defense, go down with an injury.
Yeah.
And he got carted off on the sideline, so you're not sure the extent of his injury right now. I haven't seen nothing come out about it. But this is the best Saints defense I've seen in quite a while. So I think if they continue their strong play, they could be a problem going forward for those top tier teams that we're going to be facing soon.
So I'm sorry I forgot to see who they've got next week. Who do the Saints have next Sunday?
They have Tennessee.
Oh boy, yeah,
Yeah.
Go back into the fire with this Tennessee Titan team that's coming off a big win over LA. How's the status of Taysom Hill? Is he ready to go, Dylan? And if they want him over Simeon?
Oh yeah, he was healthy last week, and he's seen some quarterback snaps.
Okay.
So yeah, okay, yeah, all right, he's fully good to go.
So let's take a look before we talk about LSU. Let's take a look at the NFC South. Obviously that's the division the Saints are in. You've got Tampa, who's 7-2, I think, right now. They're rolling on all cylinders. The team that really kind of surprised me going in, or maybe I shouldn't be surprised, was Carolina. I thought that they'd be doing a lot better than they have been. I understand, McCaffrey's been hurt, but that's nothing new. There was a lot of hype going in for Carolina to possibly be a sleeper. Surprised at how well or how poor they've been doing, or is it something? Tell me a little bit about your feelings of the NFC South so far.
Well, if you look at it, Tampa, they obviously control the South right now.
Yep.
And if the Saints would have beat Atlanta, then given that the Saints beat Tampa already, the Saints would have had sole possession of first place.
Yeah.
Since the loss of that, Tampa still runs it. And but we'll see each team again. We've already played each team already, so we'll see them again. At Carolina kind of surprises me right now because I know Sam Darnold was going into a really, really good offense, something that they've needed for quite a while. And it seems like it's been an utter disappointment over there. And it was enough to beat us. But, given after the Saints game with Carolina, it seems like they've been on a downward spiral since then. And it's bad because with sports betting being allowed in Louisiana now, I was able to actually go put some money on them. And the time I finally put money on Carolina, they let me down. so I don't think I'm going to do that anytime soon.
Well,
but
don't worry, Dylan. I got to tell you, it's like I mentioned before you came on the show. Last weekend is what we call an overtime weekend, which means you got to work overtime to cover the losses. Boy, what a horrible – I had quite the cooler last weekend, so I'm right there with you, man. Next week's a new week because, sports betting's legal here in Michigan now. So, I'm bitten by the bug. Not betting the farm or the mortgage or nothing, but, it's just one of those weekends, so I get it. Hey, let's switch gears if we can over to the college side. And LSU, boy, they put one hell of a performance on against Alabama. I thought they had me going for a while. I thought that they were going to pull this one out against Alabama, obviously undermanned, but they gave them one hell of an effort. Oh,
they did. And looking at all of sports media, they didn't give LSU a chance.
No.
Everyone predicted, and the sad part is even myself didn't give LSU a chance. I said it was going to be a There's going to be a blowout. Alabama was going to cover the 28.5 point spread. And I mean, what a job LSU did. And I don't know if I want to get confident about the rest of the season going forward. I know that they have Arkansas coming up on Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
and Arkansas being that team you don't know if you can trust. So LSU, I find they're all against Alabama, but I feel like that going into Arkansas, they're going to be disappointing again, because you've seen that good performance they had in the first quarter against Ole Miss, and then they get blown out after.
Right.
So the LSU team that shows up, you're not sure what's going to happen because you're not sure what team's going to show up. And being that Ed Orgeron's out after this year, I kind of feel like that they gave it their all against Alabama, but any other team they're not gonna have any heart for, and they're just gonna straight up lose.
Well, it's funny. I was going to ask you that. That's a great lead in. Eddie Ogeron gone, obviously, at the end of the year. You, you heard reports, at least we did up here. You've got more of a pulse on it than I do. How some of the players tuned him out. They weren't going to play for him. And then you have a game like this. Now, obviously, everybody wants to beat Alabama. I don't know any player who plays against them that doesn't. But they sure look like they wanted to play for him. And it was a spirited effort. But I, to your point, I wonder if they are indeed going to continue to play for him, because they know he's kind of, dead man walking in Alabama and LSU.
Yeah, it was a different team that we saw against Alabama, because I was watching the Ole Miss game, and there was no heart. It seemed like they didn't want to play for him at all. And then you get to Alabama, and it's a whole different football team that shows up in Tuscaloosa. So it makes you wonder, when you play Arkansas, is the same team that played Alabama going to show up, or is the same one that got demolished by Ole Miss going to show up? I don't know. With LSU, I don't know. You're just not sure what's going to happen.
So is it Georgia and everybody else down there in the SEC country?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, it's kind of what it looks like up here too. And as much as I'd like to see somebody else, from our neck of the woods, boy, I watch it and I don't know. They look so much better right now, not only than everybody in your conference, but in the nation as a whole. Don't you agree?
Oh yeah. If we're shaping up to be Georgia and Alabama, pretty much just like it is every year. I think Georgia is the better football team, and not just saying because I don't like Alabama. It's just Georgia is just the better football team, and Alabama doesn't look like that same dominant football team that they've always been. So if they meet up in that SEC title game, which is shaping up to be like that, because that's how it always is.
Yeah.
I really think Georgia's gonna manhandle them.
So getting back to Eddie O, I know the buzz has already been talking about possible replacements, everything from Luke Fickell to Mel Tucker to who knows who might go there. What have you heard? When are they going to really start the process of trying to get a new coach in there? They're going to wait. I mean, I know they said he's going to coach through the end of the year, but what have you been hearing down there as far as a potential replacement for Eddie O?
Oh, right now it wouldn't surprise me if they haven't already started the conversation of who's going to replace them. But being that they're very quiet about a lot of stuff, LSU, I feel like they're not going to really make that move until the season's really pretty much over. There's a lot of names, though, I'm very interested in. So it's just to see if they actually go against one of them to go get them.
Last question for you, Dylan, and I'll let you go. I really, again, appreciate your time tonight. College football playoff rankings are going to come out here in about 15, 20 minutes after the Michigan State-Kansas game. Last week, of course, the uproar was Cincinnati not getting in the top 4. Now we got Michigan State getting beat this weekend. Give me, if you were on that committee and you were in that room, give me who your top 4 would be.
Okay, number 1, obviously Georgia.
Yep.
To keep them number 1. I would keep Alabama at 2. Just because the committee loves Alabama and they're going to do whatever they can to keep them there.
Right.
Let's see. Who was number 4 last week?
Last week it was Oregon at number 4.
I would move Oregon to 3.
Okay.
And then you got to slide Cincinnati into that 4th spot.
Okay,
I kind of feel like they've earned it. You know, they're playing good football.
yeah, I
I
don't
think it's
know.
kind of disrespectful to keep them out.
It's tough. It's tough. I wrote on our website last week in my blog that I thought that they did it right. I have no problem
Hmm.
with Alabama and Georgia 1 and 2. I mean, I'm along with Kirk Herbstreit. I was very pleased at where they put Oklahoma because they really haven't beaten anybody, in my opinion.
No, no.
And I honestly didn't have a problem with the top six. I
Hmm.
think Ohio State, uh, I, them being behind Oregon was smart. So we'll see.
Yeah,
My only thing with Cincinnati leapfrogging Ohio State is they needed a last second goal line stand to beat Tulsa, and so
yeah, yeah.
that's what worries me. So, well, hey Dylan, thanks very much for coming on the show tonight. Really enjoyed it. Keep up the great work. Tell everybody where they can catch your work, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. For the World Elite podcast, which is my wrestling show, which we just made our year anniversary today. We announced it on Twitter and everything. For that Twitter page, you can find us at World Elite Pod. We're also on all audio platforms, and our live streams are on Facebook and Twitter. Uh, Dome Field Advantage podcast is also on all the same things at Dome Field Pod, and then we're also on all audio platforms. And we also do our live streams on Facebook and Twitter.
Oh, well, I got to ask you one last question. I lied. AEW or WWE?
Right now, AEW.
Yeah, that's funny. My son and I are looking to try to pin down a spot to go watch. Where we're almost looking at coming down to your neck of the woods, down to New Orleans to watch their show down there. But I don't think it's a little too late to plan that. But being up in Michigan, but tend to agree with you. I really like the product that they put out in the last year or so.
Oh, absolutely. They've been doing good stuff. And the New Orleans show got pushed to April. They announced it
Oh,
yesterday.
really? Wow.
So we have to wait even longer to go.
Well, that's good news for me. I got time to plan it. So there you go.
Hey, you do. Yeah, you do. And maybe if you go, we can meet up or something.
Hey, that'd be great. I would love it. Dylan, again, thanks for joining us. Keep up the great work. Hope that maybe we'll have you on later on down the road. We'll once the closer to playoff time in the NFL, we can chat about the Saints. Hopefully, they'll be one of the 7 playoff teams.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you so much for having me.
You bet, Dylan. Thank you. Dylan Hebert joining us from the World Elite Podcast and also from the Dome Field Podcast. Great insight on the New Orleans Saints and also LSU. As New Orleans, as we mentioned, they're at the number 6 seed right now in the NFL as they are trying to hold water, if you will. They lost, obviously losing their quarterback, Jameis Winston. But as Dylan mentioned, they've got some other injuries, as do a lot of teams in the NFL right now. It seems like the injury bug starts to creep up a little bit more this time of year. So, but great insight, and also great insight on LSU. And again, we haven't talked about it yet, but they sure gave Alabama one hell of a scare. Will that be enough to knock Alabama down to 3rd in the rankings? I doubt it, because who's going to go ahead of them? Are you going to put Oregon ahead of them? No. Are you going to put Cincinnati ahead of them? I don't see it. So I think it's going to be Georgia 1, Alabama 2, and probably Oregon 3. Then you got the question, is it going to be Ohio State or Cincinnati at 4? And then it begs the question, how far does Michigan State fall? Do they go to 6? They can't leap. Michigan can't leapfrog them. And Oklahoma didn't play this weekend. They've got a big game coming up against Baylor. So my theory is it's probably going to be Georgia 1, Alabama 2, Oregon 3, probably Ohio State 4, Cincinnati 5. Then you got Michigan State 6, Michigan 7, and Oklahoma 8. But we'll find that out here within the half hour. So we'll keep an eye on that. Real quick, before we go to break, let's get an update on the basketball game. Kansas now pulling away from Michigan State, up 72-59 with a little over 7 minutes to go. And the hockey game that we've got a vested interest in with Cody Jansen coming up in about 7 minutes. The Detroit Red Wings at home, up 2-0 on the Edmonton Oilers. Well, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we've got a lot more to talk about. So stick around. You're watching the Captain Lou Extravaganza live here on the 12-ounce sports platform and networks and Zingo TV, channel 761.
12-ounce sports has a new home for betting. BetUS.com is the official place to place your bets and support 12-ounce sports. All you have to do is go to BetUS.com and type in the promo code 120ZE and you'll instantly get a deposit bonus. This is America's favorite sports book. And remember, always gamble responsibly.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Captain Lou Extravaganza live here on the 12-ounce sports platform and networks, including our Facebook Live page, Twitter, Twitch, our YouTube channel, and also our website. How could you forget that? 12ouncesportsnetwork.com, and also Zingo TV, channel 761. Great to be with you here on this Tuesday night. Again, thanks to Dylan Hebert for hopping on the guest line and talking a little New Orleans Saints football, LSU, NFC South. Again, LSU with that big game against Alabama really gave them all that they could handle, that 20-14 game, holding Alabama to 20 yards rushing. Herculean effort on the defensive side of the ball, but so undermanned on the offensive side, they really couldn't take advantage of that as Alabama held them off to a 20-14 win. And we talked about some of the other teams. Cincinnati, of course, struggled to beat Tulsa. They had to get a last-second stop at the goal line. But, you know, we talk about them and we talk about Ohio State. They struggled against Nebraska. Now, Nebraska's had a tough schedule. Let's talk about that. You know, they lose by 3 to Michigan, who's ranked 7th. They lose in overtime by 3 to Michigan State, who was ranked 3rd, probably going to go down to about 6th. They lost to Iowa, I believe, Oklahoma by 1 score. And, I mean, they got to play Iowa yet. Holy crap, man, I'm telling you. Scott Frost, you know, I'm not a big fan of his. He came in with a lot of hot air, talking crap about Michigan and Michigan State, and Michigan put up 60 on him right away, gave him a little dose of humble pie. But I got to tell you, they just haven't been able to catch a break out there. And, you know, it's a shame because Nebraska, to me, has one of the best fan bases in America and one of the most friendliest atmospheres to watch a football game. So, you know, for the fans, I hope better for them. You know, that's going to be the big question at the end of the year. Is Scott Frost going to be back? So we'll wait and find out. But, again, great to talk to Dylan Hebert here on the Captain Lou Extravaganza. Hey, don't forget that we still have our Captain Lou six-pack challenge. We're going to do that in the last half hour of our show. You have an opportunity to beat me at those picks. If you can pick them better than me, then you will be in the drawing for a $100 Visa gift card and Fanatics certificate that we will give away the Tuesday after the national championship game in January. It's coming up 2 months from now. We'll have a national champion crowned in college football. Who's it going to be? You know, right now, Georgia and everybody else, we talked to Dylan about that here in the last half hour or just recently. And I don't know. Just when you think somebody is unbeatable in any sport, something happens where they get knocked off. Georgia's about as good as it gets right now. What are they averaging their last 6 games, whatever, or 5 games under 6 points a game defensively? It's almost, you know, they've got their quarterback situation set now with Bennett as their quarterback, with JT Daniels as the backup. So they're loaded. Their defense is loaded, playmakers. But they got a date with Alabama, and you can never count them out. You can never count Nick Saban out. And but this college football season is going to be wild because the Big Ten still got some big games left. Michigan goes to Penn State Saturday. Michigan State goes to Ohio State the following Saturday. Then Michigan and Ohio State play, and Michigan State, Penn State play on the same weekend. Excuse me. Now, a lot's going to depend on what Penn State does this weekend. If Michigan can beat them, Penn State's going to come into East Lansing the last weekend of the year with 4 losses. And one wonders what kind of heart they're going to have. Is James Franklin going to be checked out? Because everybody knows he hasn't exactly squashed any rumors that he's going to be going to USC. So we'll have to wait and see. Well, hey, we're going to put away the football right now. We're going to put the pigskin away, and we're going to get the pucks and the sticks out. Because joining us, we're really thrilled, the host of the World Hockey Report here on 12 Ounce Sports, Cody Jansen. Cody, hey, thanks for taking time out of your huge schedule, man. How are you, my friend?
It's been way too long, Lou. I'm doing great. How are you?
Hey, I'm fantastic. We're a month into the NHL season. College hockey, we lost them. Uh-oh. Let's see if we can't touch bait. Okay, let's see if we can't get them back. We seem to have lost them. The magic of live radio. So we're going to put them on the spot here. Oh, maybe he might have had a bad signal. We'll see if he can't call us back. Just when we thought we had him, I was going to tell him the Red Wings were up 2-0. He probably already knows that. No, it's 3-0. Red Wings again up on Edmonton, really putting on a show. Nemestikov with 2 goals and Dylan Larkin with another. So let's see if we can't get Dylan back, or Cody back on here. Cody, are you there?
I'm back.
All right.
I must have lost you.
Well, I thought maybe you threw something at the phone when the Red Wings scored again. Oh, see, hung up. I knew it. Oh, I shouldn't have said anything. He found out the Red Wings went up 3-0, and he hung the phone up. Cody, of course, based out of Edmonton, out of the Alberta area. So, of course, big Edmonton guy. All right, we're going to try this again. All right, Cody. 3rd time's a charm, my friend.
What is going on with Saskatchewan service here? Oh my! I don't know if it's my phone or yours, but I apologize, Lou.
Oh,
I think
it's
I'm
all
back
good
with you now.
It's all good. I just told everybody you might have got pissed because I told you Edmonton gave up the 3rd goal. So.
Oh, I watched it. Did you see it? Do you got a TV on in there?
No, I don't.
Terrible.
No, I didn't. I'm just I'm sitting back and I'm looking at it, and but let's face it, Cody. You guys started out 9-1. Your Oilers, one hell of a start to the season with Draisaitl and Connor McDavid and the boys. What's been the secret to that 9-1 start?
I mean, let's be honest. It's the depth up front. It's something they haven't had in how many years, where you add guys like Hyman, you add Fogle, Puljujarvi takes another step. Yamamoto has been surprisingly good over the past 5. Then you add some depth as well with guys like Derek Ryan. You also have Shore, who stepped out. Unfortunately, he's going on IR. So there's been a lot of bright spots on the team this season, and a lot of it does have to do with that forward group and just the depth they've added. I mean, defensively, they've been fine, but I don't think anyone's overly shocked that defensively they're a half-decent team, knowing that, you pick up CC, you pick up Keith, you got guys like Bouchard taking bigger roles on the team.
Right.
You still got Cuckoo, you still got Russell, and then you get your big 2 in Nurse and Barry. So no one's overly surprised with that, and obviously McDavid and Draisaitl are next level. But the biggest thing that I've seen is that this team has 3-4 lines every night that's going. Yeah,
and that's amazing. And I'll believe, you know what, I will brag a little bit when there's 3 zeros on the clock at the end of the 3rd period, because Detroit has been known to start out hot this year in some games, and it's like their defense runs out of gas, just like the other night. They beat Vegas, but Cody, it was, it was scary, even though they had a 2-goal lead. They seem to get a little bit complacent in the third period this year.
Lou, your wings have looked incredible. I mean, I just
Yeah.
started in the second period. I got here to the hotel, started watching the second period. They've looked fantastic. I mean, they're out shooting them like 30-15. Nedeljkovic looks good. I know the Oilers are starting their third stringer in Skinner, and so some of the goals definitely aren't going in on a higher game or a game where Mike Smith is playing, but they've been all over them. And I'm loving this Lucas Raymond kid. I mean,
Oh,
this
my
kid
Lord.
is phenomenal, Lou. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's been exciting to watch, and Mo Sider's been playing well. I mean, he had such a great year last year playing overseas, and these guys. It's exciting to see. The game plan that Yzerman's put in place. I know we still got a ways to go, and it's a long season, but it's exciting for us Red Wings fans not to have a team that's out of it before Thanksgiving.
I have a hard time finding too many other teams that are as young as Detroit right now who has a future that bright.
Yeah.
Like when I look at all the pieces that you want in building a strong team with some good young players who have leadership qualities, I honestly think Detroit is up there with the best.
Yeah. It's gonna be fun to watch, and unfortunately for them, they're playing in such a solid division. I mean, you got Florida playing lights out, and obviously Tampa's going to be there, Toronto, and then I look at the Metropolitan. Holy cow, you got Carolina at 9-1. I kind of saw that coming, but I didn't, and Columbus 7-3. I didn't see that coming, Cody.
They've had a weak schedule. I'm not buying Columbus's start. Carolina's good, but they can't keep two healthy goaltenders.
No.
I mean, that's their issue. Is there's no way Rantis stays healthy for the full season. And as good of a start as Freddie Anderson has had, he's not a 60-game goaltender in my mind. Maybe he can prove me wrong. Maybe he can go back to his 2017 Anaheim Ducks days, and maybe I'm way out to lunch here. But I think I'm in the right to say that this guy in a 65-game starter. He's not Connor Hellebuck.
Cody, I got to ask you, I got to give you credit. When the Jack Eichel trade first came out and announced, I put on our little group chat that we have that I thought that Buffalo got fleeced, but I don't know. I think that I think both teams made out okay. Give me your thoughts on the Eichel trade.
So my biggest issue with the Eichel trade is what happened after the fact almost. Because I don't know if you saw, Lou, but they had to acquire Johnny Boychuk's contract just to get to the cap floor. As Jesse Puljujärvi goes and buries. It's 3-1 now. Just saw that.
Okay.
Oilers are making a comeback.
Here we
Oilers
go.
are making a comeback, Lou. You heard it here first on your show.
Yeah.
No. So what I hated about the Buffalo Sabres move, and again, I don't want to pick on the Pagulas, but I think this is an absolute piss petty move that they did, was they chose to get a worse deal, a worse return for Jack Eichel by not retaining any salary. Because they could have just retained Jack Eichel's, some of his salary to get to the cap floor to make sure that they'd have that, and they would get a much better return than what they got from Vegas. But instead, they decided to play childish games. They decided to say, we'll take a worse package if it means getting rid of this guy completely off of our payroll. And it's crazy, Lou, to me to think about that. Is that team actually could have probably got another 2 draft picks or a prospect and a draft pick if they would have just ate $3 million, $2 million of Jack Eichel's salary, and they decided not to. It doesn't make any sense. That's my issue with Buffalo. But again, I really think that for both teams, end of the day, it's going to work out. I mean, I joked around that no way Tuck's actually excited to go there, but I mean, he is an upper New York guy. He is a Buffalo kid. He grew up in the Sabres. I think Krebs is a heck of a player. Yeah. And again, I mean, you're getting draft picks, which are, they're lottery tickets. You could strike at the number 12 spot. You could strike at the number 15 spot. You just never know what happens with those. So
Yeah.
I don't mind Kevin Adams as a GM also. I don't think he hasn't had enough time to really make an impact in the immediate lineup. But again, give him some time and we'll see if they can turn him around. But they got a great prospect pool too.
And I look at Vegas, and they're right about 500 right now. And Cody, I know everybody deals with injuries. It happens in every sport at every level. But I was watching it the other night when the Wings were playing Vegas. They didn't have Pacioretty. They didn't have Stone. They're depleted. Of course, Eichel now is not going to be there probably till March maybe, and so I like what Vegas is always going to be tough, and the play as good as they look good against Detroit. Detroit just played better, and I think Vegas is gonna. I think they're going to reap the benefits of this down the road.
They're missing an entire top line, which is an elite top line. My issue with Vegas is that I don't think their goaltending is up to par anymore, Lou. I don't have faith in Robin Leonard like other people do. I don't. I don't think this is a guy who can pick you up, 16 wins to win a Stanley Cup. I don't think Robin Leonard's that guy. Laurent Brossoit ain't the backup that's going to help, get you a consistent 25, 30 games either. So the fact that they were willing to let Fleury go that easy, I know he's had a bad start, but Chicago's been a dumpster fire here, and there's nothing good to say about that organization right now.
No.
But I just, that's my concern, is you need a goaltender to win the Stanley Cup. I don't think Robin Leonard's there anymore.
I don't either. And you talk about the black eye in Chicago. It's what a disgrace, and then you find out today that the GM for the Ducks, Murray, he's going to leave with an investigation going on with him. I'm glad these teams.
And that guy's had countless players come out and call him a scumbag. I mean, it's not even, guys aren't even hiding that. Everyone's open about Bob Murray being this prick. And again, I've never met the guy. I've never played for the guy. I don't have any insight on him. All I know is that NHLers are very vocal about their experience with him. So it was only a matter of time.
This guy's making, I'm drawing a blank. Detroit's old coach looked like a saint. Mike Babcock. No,
he's in Saskatchewan now.
I just read the story on him the other day. It was actually a good story. I read it on one of the local MLive, MichiganLive.com had a big story on him. It was quite interesting how Babcock, him and his son are coaching together up there. Do you see Babcock coming back as a head coach in the NHL?
No, I don't. And this is why, and I think that the game has just changed too much, and there's just a few too many scars on Babcock right now that I don't think you can bounce back from. There were some things that I don't know if they've been fully investigated, can be fully investigated. Yeah. I just think there's too many wounds to heal up, and so for Babs, I think he's going to take the mentorship role. I'm not saying he hasn't changed, because I fully believe, and people I've talked to who work with him on a daily basis have said, hey, this isn't the same Babcock who we went golfing with 4 or 5 years ago when he was just, an absolute ass, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
He's changed into a personable, person. He's someone that they can talk to. He's got a little different demeanor to him. He walks a little different. So I do think he's changed, but I don't think he's going to get another shot in the NHL. I don't know. It's just not the way that the game's going. He can't relate to the younger guys.
Yeah.
Maybe it's as an advisor role. Maybe it's as like a assistant GM, something along those lines. I don't know. I don't see him as a head coach in the NHL anymore, though. I think that ship has sailed.
Couple more teams I want to ask you about, Cody, and I'll let you go. I know you're busy. You're out traveling. I won't let you get set behind the television set to watch the third period. I look at the Wild, 8-3, another team that kind of stands out to me. They're leading the division right now. They look pretty solid. Is that a flash in the pan? Give me your thoughts on Minnesota.
Oh, I've been very vocal about Minnesota, Lou. I'm sure you did some digging into this one with my hot takes. I'm not sold on Kaprizov yet. I'm not sold on Cam Talbot, but wow, what a start for this team that really doesn't have much of anything.
That's what I'm
there
saying.
isn't anything to write home about Minnesota, but they just win hockey games. So I don't know what it is about this team that I'm so wrong about that I don't see anything in here. Like I think of Kaprizov, I think of him as like a 70-point player. Like I don't see him as a superstar who's changing the games. I don't see Kevin Fiala as this difference maker. Joel Eriksson Ek is fine, but like just collectively as a group, they've kind of just bought in and they win hockey games. So like now I'm starting to think, I'm like, geez, maybe they are a wild card team in the Central, which is a tough division to be in.
I agree. And then I look at a team like Calgary, Cody, that, 7-1-3. I know it's early. They're playing well, but they're a team that you got to show it to me in the playoffs, man. It just seems like they pulled up like a cheap suit.
Until Johnny Gaudreau and Sean Monahan figure out how to be superstars when the games actually matter, they're not going to do anything. But one of the biggest difference makers, and I'm probably his biggest critic, is Jakob Markstrom in net. And Markstrom, he's got 4 shutouts already this season. In his last 200 starts with Vancouver before he signed in Calgary, he only had 4 shutouts. So, this is a different player. He's a little motivated right now. I'm still disappointed. I'm pissed off at Brad Treliving that he didn't go out and acquire Jack Eichel. I think that he is probably the biggest waste of groceries right now managing a team. I can't stand it. It's honestly, how many players has he been in where it's like, oh, maybe they'll get Panarin. Oh, maybe they'll get Pierre-Luc Dubois. Oh, maybe they'll get Eichel. Maybe Mark Stone. Like his brother played on the team, and they couldn't pull the trigger for Mark Stone, Luke.
Wow.
It's insane to me that this guy is willing to hold on to Jacob Pelche, Connor Zary, Valimaki, draft picks, and not actually put together a contending team on the ice. It pisses me off, just being someone who wants to see an incredible Battle of Alberta, that this guy is sleeping behind the wheel. That's my issue with Calgary. They've got the potential. They're going to be a good regular season team. Daryl Sutter's a great coach.
Yes.
They're going to be tough they're going to be a tough out in playoffs, but are they a legitimate contender at this point? No. Come on. We got to be real.
I kind of you and I are in agreement on that one. And lastly, you talk about dumpster fires. Obviously, pardon my French, Chicago's a shitstorm right now, but you've got Arizona 1-10-1. And I just look at that. I feel bad for the folks that really wanted to work in Arizona, Cody, but this is doing them no favors. That is a disaster down there, and I don't see it getting better anytime soon.
We're 9 months away from next NHL season? 8, 9, 9, 10 months away, and they don't have a home, Luke. They are literally homeless after the season ends. So what's happening? Like they don't have offices, Lou. This is like end of the season. They're getting the boot from Gila River. Like that's offices, that's staff, that's the team, everything. They don't have a deal in place. So is Gary Bettman going to come through financially somehow for this team and give them, an extra $10 million to chuck into Veterans Memorial Coliseum? Are they going to be able to work out a deal with Talking Stick where maybe they don't hold any concerts at their new rink for the next 10, 15 years? I'm not sold on that. There's so much that has to go into it to keep this team in Arizona now.
Yeah.
It's just the biggest headache. Just sell the team. Just move it to Houston. Your experiment was fun. Maybe down the road, bring a team back when there's a downtown rink in Scottsdale. No one's going to say no to that.
Right. And
it's the exact same way as if Atlanta were to get a new facility in a great area. No one would say no to that. But with their current setup, everyone's saying no to it because they know it's a failure. That's the issue. It's not the product on the ice. It's that you have to take an hour-long Uber to get to Gila River Arena, where it's an awesome setup. Don't get me wrong. Like, it is incredible out there, but you're buying nothing.
Yeah.
Like, you got a cool mall, a couple of restaurants around there. If you want to go to Scottsdale, if you want to go to downtown Phoenix, if you want to go anywhere remotely relevant in the city of Phoenix, it's a half an hour trip at least.
Well, Cody, I appreciate you coming on tonight. This has been an absolute treat. I love talking hockey with you. You got me fired up, man. You really do. I got to borrow one of your. I love one of your sayings used tonight. Piss petty. I love that. I got to use that. Can I borrow that?
Yeah, take it. It's all yours. That fires me up so much, and I'm sorry to rant on it again.
No,
just that
please
Buffalo
do.
situation, like it doesn't make sense.
I don't get it.
It's literally like you just made your team worse for no reason at all. Zero reason. It makes no sense, and it's going to be frustrating. Like, what if you're a player on that team? And then I know multiple guys on Buffalo. I haven't asked them about the situation. I don't like to bug guys in season with personal stuff. But, like, it's one of those things, like, if you're a guy on the team, like, imagine being like Rasmus Dahlin or someone who's like an up-and-coming superstar, and you're like, we just made our team worse because our owners would rather spend money on Johnny Boychuk than Jack Eichel.
How do you I mean, how do you go to the rink and want to practice for 2 hours? It's like the Lions. They're the NHL version of the Detroit Lions. How do you go to practice when you're 0-8 knowing that you don't have a chance in hell to win maybe more than 1 or 2 games, and then you got an ownership group and a GM that does that? Cody, I'm with you 150% on that. Hey, tell us.
Lou, did you watch Monday Night Football last night? I haven't caught the start of your show. Did you have a take on Monday Night Football?
You know, I watched the first half because I had to get to bed, and I've seen the highlights about the taunting, which was an absolute joke. You know what? I love Justin Fields, and I think he's going to be good in Chicago. Who is next? Is Nagy going to be there next year? I doubt it, but I don't blame that on him. Man, I honestly think Chicago's got a future with Fields at quarterback.
I want to know your thoughts on the reffing this year, though, and it's been multiple times where Fields and Fields actually spoke up finally about it, and I give him credit for having something between his legs there when he said, "Hey, Big Ben got that call last drive, and I get the exact same thing, and it doesn't get called." And then, then they get the taunting and all that, where it's like the double standards in the NFL. And maybe it's because I haven't paid attention because the Bears have been absolute dog for the past how many years where I haven't actually paid that much attention. But like this year, watching Fields more and more and the Bears more and more, the reffing's been pretty bad. Like there's some very questionable stuff going on.
Cody, I'm right there with you. My theory on the reffing and NFL referees for the past, dozen years, and I could say my Lions have gotten jobbed, but they've been so pathetic that, you can't really complain about the refs. But my take on the refereeing is you got to get them full-time. You got to make them full-time employees, and there's got to be a way to get a younger crew of referees in there. They can't keep up with these guys, these world-class athletes. And then you throw this chicken shit taunting rule in, which is so subjective. Last night, I saw the highlight of that. That was terrible.
That was so bad.
These guys can't do anything.
The ref backed into him, too.
Yeah.
And then, it didn't even look like he was really saying anything. He kind of gave the guy a little stare down. For a couple of seconds, he turns back to his bench and he heads on.
Taunting.
That's what you don't want any emotion. You just want them to, at the whistle, everyone just drop your head, shut your mouth and walk off the field quietly.
This isn't 1946. You're right. And to me, taunting is meant for high school, so you don't get people getting in fights. Because if they don't have a taunting rule in high school football, and they let that crap go, then you're going to get fights. But in the pros, these guys are making millions upon millions of dollars. And it's taken me a lot of years, Cody, to get to like the showboating. I like what they let them do after a touchdown. I don't know. The arrogance part of it still I have a hard time with, but this taunting rule is horrible. And the refereeing, yes, it hasn't gotten any better. It hasn't. It's just like Major League Baseball. It's you get these good old boy referees that have no business being in there. And this Correnti that was in there last night for your Bears, what a joke! What that was pathetic.
You make a great point. That's a great point, Lou. That's one thing where I didn't know that. I fully understand it. I 100%. Even when we watch the refs run up the field and stuff, and you're kind of just like, yeah, maybe they aren't keeping up. Maybe it's not like you need more refs, but I don't know. There's just something that needs to be fixed. Simple as that.
I don't know what the answer is. Like I said, you know, you get again, and it's funny is all, you know, I look at, you know, in all sports, you know, look at baseball, and they don't even, like for the World Series and whatnot, that's not even, you don't get a World Series gig or a playoff gig based on performance. It's like they rotate. You can have guys that have crap years, and they get it's mind-boggling, and you can't say anything bad about them either, because, you know, then you get hit in the pocketbook, man. It's just, why are they protected? Now you got me fired up. I love it.
We gotta connect you with Tim Peel. We gotta get you Tim Peel on the show and talk about NHL refing, because that guy is so knowledgeable, and he broke down so many things about how the NHL selects refs, how he sees stuff. And I know he had his incident, whatever. You can't tell me that every other ref, I guarantee you, in the world has made a makeup call. He just got caught because he's mic'd up. That's the only thing I see with that. But I think you'd love to pick his brain from a ref's perspective. I know it's a hockey guy, but
no, I would love to talk to him. We'll talk about it off air. We'll chat back and forth on it. Cody, hey, I know you got a lot to do. Thanks for coming on tonight, man. I really appreciate it. This has been an absolute treat. Tell everybody where they can catch you on 12 ounce.
At World Hockey RPT, we're on Twitter, and most days we're coming to you live at noon. So that's noon Mountain Standard, 2 Eastern time. So yeah, noon, 12 ounce sports, all the same channels as your show.
And Cody, I just want to tell everybody, Cody is one of the he's one of the heartbeats. Him and Jeff are the heartbeats of our network, and Cody does so much work for us that behind the scenes, that if it wasn't for Cody, we wouldn't be able to do a show like this on Tuesday night. So I want to thank you, Cody, for coming on my show and for everything you do for 12 ounce, man. Keep up the great work. You are indeed the heartbeat of our network. Thank you.
Lou, you're too kind, man. I appreciate you. It was a blast. Have a great show.
All right. Thank you. Cody Jansen from the World Hockey Report. You can catch him, as he said, weekdays at 12 o'clock Mountain Time, 2 o'clock Eastern Time. And he's got I tell you, if you want to know anything about NHL hockey, that is the man you need to listen to and you need to watch right here on 12 Ounce Sports. He's got such a bloodline of whatever you want to call it, a line for all the guests, for the people in the know in the world of hockey, pro, college, whatever. So I invite you to join the World Hockey Report at noon, weekdays, here on the 12 Ounce, noon Mountain Time, 2 o'clock Eastern, here on 12 Ounce Sports. Hey, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to get you up to date on the new rankings for college football, and we're going to give you our Captain Lou six-pack challenge, and we'll take a peek at the NFL. We'll give you what we think, or who we think, are the top teams and who maybe needs to get their act in gear besides my Detroit Lions. You're watching the Captain Lou Extravaganza live here on the 12 Ounce Sports Network and Zingo TV, Channel 761.
Twelve Ounce Sports has a new home for betting. BetUS.com is the official place to place your bets and support 12 Ounce Sports. All you have to do is go to BetUS.com and type in the promo code 120OZE and you'll instantly get a deposit bonus. This is America's favorite sports book. And remember, always gamble responsibly.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Captain Lou Extravaganza Live here on the 12-Ounce Sports Network and Zingo TV Channel 761. Thanks again to Cody Jansen for coming on from the World Hockey Report here on 12-Ounce Sports. He is our hockey guru here, and you can catch every weekday at 2 o'clock Eastern Time, 12 noon Mountain Time, as we try to we get you up to date on he comes on. He's got all the latest in the world of NHL hockey, you name it. And it's again what we he's our lifeline. He's our heartbeat when it comes to a lot of things here at 12-Ounce Sports, as I mentioned. So wow, look at the top 7 in college football in the poll. Georgia, Alabama, Oregon, Ohio State, Cincinnati, Michigan, and Michigan State. Crazy how Michigan jumped Michigan State. Boy, oh boy, my Michigan State friends here in Michigan are going to be just beside themselves. I'm shocked by that. Now I'm gonna go on record. You know me, I'm a Michigan guy. But if that's the case, I want to thank Philly Pete for getting me updated. You can watch his show every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday here at noon. Pete's Power Plays. Michigan over Michigan State. That is, no, I'm sorry. That I cannot agree with. If they're going to put Oregon ahead of Ohio State and put Michigan ahead of Michigan State, that makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. And it just, I'm at a loss on that. Holy cow. I'm speechless. I never thought Michigan State would fall below Michigan. Boy, oh boy, the sports talk radio tomorrow in East Lansing is going to be priceless to listen to. My top 4 would have been Georgia, Alabama, Oregon, and Ohio State. Then I would have had Cincinnati. Then I would have had Michigan State and Michigan. So I guess it's only flip-flop. But how can you put Michigan ahead of Michigan State? Holy cow. I'm just, I don't get it. I don't get it. Well, that's the way it goes, I guess, So, unless I'm wrong, unless someone's giving me some false information here, and I don't think they will. Final score in the first game, by the way, of that, of the State Farm Champions Classic. Kansas outlasted Michigan State 87-74. Kentucky and Duke are going to be playing shortly here, and again, I go back to this college football poll. If it's serious, I can't believe Michigan State's is behind Michigan. I'm just it's crazy. I'm stumped by it. I don't know what to say. So, again, want to thank Cody Jansen for coming on. Great conversation with him. So we'll have to wait and see. We'll I just, I don't know. I'm speechless on here. I as much as I love Michigan, there's no way they deserve to be ahead of Michigan State. Who knows? All right, let's get some hockey scores in real quick. Detroit now, their lead's cut to 1, 3-2. That's, again, what I was worried about. I started heaping the praise on Detroit. Now Edmonton's waking up. 2 goals here back-to-back. Detroit jumped out to a 3-0 lead. I jinxed them. I told Cody to get back and start watching the game, and his Oilers now have cut it to 3-2. LA and Montreal tied 2-2 in the third. Tampa and Carolina tied 1-1. New Jersey and Florida. New Jersey all over Florida. They beat them tonight 7-3. That's insane there. So again, let's get back to college football. Georgia, again, they rolled. No disputing their number one. Alabama, okay, they struggled to beat LSU. Who else played better than Alabama to justify them being leapfrogged at number 2? I need to know that. All right. I'm getting the Michigan is number 1, is number 6, 1 ahead of Michigan State, even though the Spartans beat them. Yep. Oklahoma's 8, Notre Dame is 9, Oklahoma State is 10. And as I mentioned, Georgia really, they were impressive. They thumped Tennessee, or they thumped Missouri 43-6. We all know Michigan State lost. We all know that, but Ohio State, not that impressive over Nebraska, as I mentioned. Oregon, not that impressive over Minnesota or Washington. Cincinnati, I thought if they could have really trucked Tulsa, they could have possibly snuck in. But they've struggled in their last 3 games. And that's the eye test right there. They needed to win those convincingly. And they didn't. And I know I'm going to hear everybody complain about it. They're undefeated. All they're doing is winning. But they're winning against inferior opponents. And that's my argument. But everybody struggled. Michigan, they beat Indiana, but Michigan's problem to me is they can't score in the red zone, and that's going to come back to bite them in the ass. If they keep that up, then they are going to lose another game. They can't play like that against Ohio State, and I don't think they can play that way this weekend against Penn State. So again, the top 6, Georgia 1, Alabama 2, Oregon 3, Ohio State 4, Cincinnati 5, Michigan 6, Michigan State 7. So what that tells me, if you're a Michigan fan, you win out. And this is the crazy scenario right here. So let's just say, you got to think it's going to change. But let's throw this Big Ten scenario, let's throw this out to you. Because this worked in Alabama's favor a couple of years ago in LSU. Let's say Michigan wins out. They beat Ohio State, they beat Penn State, they beat Maryland. They're 11-1. Let's say Michigan State wins out. They beat Penn State, they beat Maryland, they beat Ohio State. They're 11-1. Michigan doesn't go to the Big Ten championship game because they would lose the tiebreaker to Michigan State. Would they put both teams in with 1 loss? Because let's say Georgia beats Alabama. Alabama's got 2 losses. Boom, they're out. Would the committee do that ahead of Cincinnati? Could you see Michigan and Michigan State both being in the playoff? Think about that for a second. There's a good possibility that could happen. Michigan State would win the Big Ten East. They would probably play Wisconsin or Minnesota or maybe even Purdue in the Big Ten championship game. Michigan would not have to play in that and could find them, they could sneak in and get into the playoff. It's not as crazy as it sounds, I'm telling you. Alabama's been the benefit of that. It's it's crazy just to think that. I'm dumbfounded by it, to be honest with you. Wow. It's. But I watched Michigan State. They came back against Michigan. But I think Michigan exposed something that maybe some other teams knew. You could throw the ball on Michigan State. Michigan just didn't take advantage of it. Purdue did. That's what worries me for Michigan State against Ohio State. But it's going to set up for a great, great last 3 weeks of college football. And by no means is Cincinnati out of it. But I don't know what they're going to be able to do to crack the top 4. They're 5 right now. But I got to tell you, if Michigan State or Michigan beats Ohio State, they're going to leapfrog them. And what about Oklahoma? They've got Baylor. They've got, they've got Oklahoma State. So they run that gauntlet. They're going to probably play, then either one of them in the final for the Big 12. They could leapfrog Cincinnati if they're undefeated. If this doesn't scream expansion for the college football playoff, I don't know what will. And I think if they do expand, they will go to 12. Because the SEC, the only way they're going to go on board with an expansion is if the top 4 get a bye, so they get rewarded. And what about Oregon? Could they get leapfrogged? Again, it's not consistent. You're going to sit there and tell me that Oregon is playing better than Ohio State right now? I don't see it. I really don't. So what the committee is saying with Michigan at 6 and Michigan State at 7 was maybe it was a fluke that Michigan lost. I'm not, and I'm not saying that. I'm not, because I'm on record. I think Michigan State should be ahead of Michigan. But what a difference a week makes. It all goes back to the poll when it used to be back when you had the mythical national championships, back in the 70s and whatnot. You were better off to lose in September than to lose in December or the end of November. Because your memories, everybody's got selective memory. It's short-term memory. You could lose a game at the beginning of the year and get on a roll and win 10 in a row, and you'd be voted in by AP and UPI. But now you're not. So, wow. I'm not surprised by the top 3 or the top 4. What really got me was 6 and 7. Will it stay that way? Hard to say. But all of a sudden Michigan's looking like if they run out, who knows? And that's going to be the odd thing. Again, Michigan and Michigan State, 6 and 7. If they both beat Ohio State, they both got one loss. Obviously, Ohio State won't be in the top 10 or whatever. Michigan State would go to the championship game of the Big Ten. Michigan would be on the outside, but with one loss, with a win over Ohio State. It's crazy. Crazy to think about. But we do know one thing. Georgia's number 1 by far. I don't see them losing again till maybe the playoff. But what if they lose to Alabama? Then you're going to have 2 SEC teams, and then you will not have 2 Big Ten teams. So then it's going to come down to Then Cincinnati's host. No doubt about it. Right or wrong, but they haven't played anybody again. And I know everybody's going to complain about that argument. Well, they only play the people in front of them. Notre Dame, I think, is on the outside looking in no matter what. So, who knows? Well, hey, without any further ado, we got to do this because we're getting up to it. We're getting close to it right now. It's time once again for the Captain Lou 6-Pack Challenge. How it works is I'm going to put on 3 games college, 3 games pro against the spread. I make my picks. It's your job to pick those games as well. If you think that you can beat me at picking these games that I'm going to put up here in a moment, drop me a line at CaptainLouSports@gmail.com or follow me on Twitter at RealCaptainLou. Give me your picks or on my Facebook page, Lewis Gamlin, and I will get you in the drawing. If you beat me, you're in the drawing for a $100 Visa gift card and also a certificate to Fanatics. And so I was 3-3 last week. It's that simple. No purchase required, none of that garbage. Just beat me at these picks. And it's using this spread tonight. If I got to use it, so do you. I know it'll change. It has in the past, especially last week with Kansas City and Green Bay, because it was even on Tuesday night. Then the next day they announced that Rodgers has got COVID, or Thursday, whatever, and the line went to +8 or +7 for Green Bay. So everybody gets to use the line that is posted on here as of right now. So without any further ado, let's get to the Captain Lou Six-Pack Challenge. Let's go with college first. We talked about it. Oklahoma and Baylor. Oklahoma comes in a 5.5-point favorite at Baylor. Oklahoma's got something to play for. Lincoln Riley's going to have them fired up, I think, with that opportunity to they're on the outside looking in. They're going to have the chip on their shoulder, all of that. They're 8th right now in the college football playoff ranking. Baylor, I don't see it. Give me Oklahoma minus the 5.5. They're going to win by at least 10 points. So give me the Sooners. Boomer Sooner in this one. I'll go with Oklahoma minus 5.5. Next up, a battle in the Big Ten. Iowa hosting Minnesota. Iowa comes in a 5.5-point favorite on this one as well. I think that Minnesota's so depleted on the offensive side of the ball, and they still had a chance last week. But they're at Iowa. That is such a tough place to play. It's going to be a low-scoring game. That's why I'm worried that Iowa may not cover. I think Iowa wins by a touchdown. I really do. Give me Ohio State, give me Iowa minus 5.5. Next up on the college side of our Captain Lou Six-Pack Challenge, Texas A&M at Auburn. Now, hear me out on this. I know we've been preaching Alabama going to the championship game, blah, blah, blah. Let's say Auburn beats Texas. Texas A&M beats Auburn, okay? Let's say Auburn beats Alabama in the Iron Bowl. Who goes to the championship game? Texas A&M. They've got something to play for. I like Texas A&M in this one. I really do. Give me Texas A&M minus 2.5. Let's go to the pro side. I've been picking the Raiders games a lot this year. I'm going to pick it again. Kansas City, to me, if any other quarterback would have been quarterbacking the Green Bay Packers, Jared Goff even, Mitchell Trubisky, Lynn Dickey, I don't know. Green Bay would have won that game. Kansas City is not that great of a team. They're good, but they're not great. We're going to see what the Raiders are made of after losing on the road to the Giants. A little surprised by that one. Kansas City's a 2.5-point favorite on the road. I'm taking the Raiders, getting 2.5. I'm going to go with the Raiders. I don't know what it is. I'm not sold on Kansas City right now. I think they're kind of not really a mess. Their defense is not that great, although they played well enough against Green Bay, but Jordan Love looked terrible. I'm taking the Raiders. I think they bounce back. New Orleans is at Tennessee. We talked about this with Dylan Hebert in the first hour of our show. Tennessee is a 3-point favorite at home against New Orleans. So they're getting the 3 points. That means it's a toss-up. Now, I know they don't have Henry, but New Orleans, to me, their quarterback play is suffering. And I know their defense is solid. We talked about how good their defense is, and I agree. But Tennessee, man, they're playing well. Even without Derrick Henry, I think they can win this one at home. Give me Tennessee, and I'll lay the 3 points. Finally, Los Angeles Rams at San Francisco. Rams laid an egg last week against Tennessee. Tennessee played better. Can Matthew Stafford rebound and win a conference game or a division game on the road? San Francisco, we talked about San Francisco being desperation mode last week on the NFL Report, our preview show, which you can catch on Saturday mornings at 11 o'clock. I'm sorry, 10 o'clock Eastern Time, Sunday mornings at 11. But they're in desperation mode now. But I think the Rams I think they're too good a team to have two bad games in a row. This is a big game for Matt Stafford coming up this weekend. Rams are a 4-point favorite. I think they go up to San Francisco and win this one. San Francisco is going to have to prove it to me that they can put it together. Give me the Rams minus the 4. So there you go. There's my picks for this week. Oklahoma minus 5.5 against Baylor. I'm going to go with, oh my gosh. And you know what? I just made a mistake. I gotta fix this. Hold on, everybody. I get one bogey every year. So I knew something didn't look right, but I'm still going to stick with my pick. These two teams played last week. Let's go back to college. It's Ole Miss playing Texas A&M. Texas A&M travels there. I'm still picking Texas A&M for the same reasons that I just gave you. They beat Ole Miss. They could be in the driver's seat for the championship in the SEC West should Alabama lose to Auburn. I know that's a big ask, but I'm taking Texas A&M minus 2.5 against Ole Miss. So my bad on that one. So anyways, let's go through it again. I'm going to take Oklahoma minus 5.5, Iowa minus 5.5, Texas A&M on the road minus 2.5 at Ole Miss. On the pro side, I'm going to take the points, Raiders plus 2.5. I'm going to lay the 3 with Tennessee at New Orleans, and I'm going to lay the 4 LA Rams at San Francisco. So how it works again, these will be posted on my Twitter feed and on my Facebook page tomorrow. Follow me on Twitter at RealCaptainLou. Follow me on Facebook, Lewis Gamlin. Or send me an email, CaptainLouSports@gmail.com. It's that simple. You do that, and if you beat me on these picks, you're in the drawing for that $100 Visa gift card that I'll be giving away the Tuesday after the NFL or the college football championship game. And so we got a lot of great prizes with that. It's been a lot of fun this year with that, so we hope you enjoy playing. That is the Captain Lou 6-Pack Challenge. We got a few minutes left of the show tonight. Again, just want to kind of give you an update on, let's look at the NFL standings real quick. We talk about this. We're just about the halfway point. Some teams are at 9 games, but we look at the division, the leaders right now. We talked about last weekend being a crazy weekend. Buffalo now suffered their 3rd loss, losing to Jacksonville. Don't look now, but New England's a half game behind them. Buffalo's at 5-3. I still think they're going to win the division. Are they the best team in the AFC? The best team in the AFC right now, record-wise, is Tennessee. They've won 5 in a row. They're 7-2. They would get the bye right now. The AFC West is crazy. The Chargers and the Raiders are 5-3. The Broncos and the Chiefs are 5-4. Who wins that division? Do you trust the Chargers? Do you trust the Raiders? Kansas City might pull it together and end up winning it with 10 games. 10-7. In the AFC North, the Ravens, big win for them over Minnesota. Gut check win. They're way behind on that one. Came back. That, to me, was very impressive. Pittsburgh's 5-3. They've won 4 in a row, but there's just something about the fragility of Ben Roethlisberger I don't know if I trust. Then you got Cleveland and Cincinnati. Cleveland without Odell. Now that monkey is off his back. That the 500-pound elephant is off his shoulders. Cincinnati, they were the sexy pick a couple of weeks ago. They've lost 2 in a row now. They're in last place at 5-4. Crazy AFC. NFC, the Cowboys, they get boat raced by Denver this past weekend at home, but they're playing in the NFC least, the worst division in pro football, bar none. Well, maybe the Lions, their division is bad, but they're going to cakewalk that. They're going to stumble and win 11 games and win that division. The Packers in the same boat. They'll probably be 12-5, win that division. They're coming off a game against Arizona. A bye week. I beg your pardon. Or I'm sorry, the Kansas City game. They've got Seattle this weekend, a desperate team at home. They get Aaron Rodgers back. They're in. They'll be back rolling. They'll be 8-2. Arizona, by far the best team right now in the NFL. Record-wise, they're playing really solid. They showed me something against San Francisco going up there and beating them. They didn't just beat them. They destroyed San Francisco. And they did it with Colt McCoy at quarterback. How crazy is that? Rams at 7-2. We just talked about them a little bit ago. They need a bounce-back win. Was it a fluke losing to Tennessee? We'll find out. They go to San Francisco. I look at that NFC South. Carolina, probably one of the more disappointing teams. The Bears, I knew the Bears are the Bears. I love you, Cody, but 3-6. They've lost 4 in a row now. They may have found themselves a franchise quarterback, but they've a lot of question marks. Matt Nagy's going to have to start winning to come back, and if they lose to Detroit on Thanksgiving, look out. He might be gone. So there you go. Kind of a synopsis. Tampa Bay 6-2, New Orleans 5-3. Atlanta, how are they doing it? 4-4. They look pretty good against the Saints, but they got a long ways to go there too. So, well, that's going to do it tonight. We want to thank everybody for joining us here on the Captain Lou Extravaganza. Again, thanks to Dylan Hebert for stopping on by, talking New Orleans Saints and LSU football. And, of course, Cody Jansen. Always a blast talking hockey with him. Sprinkling in a little NFL football and some referee talk. Great with the banner back and forth with Cody. He always gets my blood flowing. So it's always been a pleasure talking to him. We thank him for coming on. And we thank you, the viewer, for taking time out of your schedule tonight to watch us here on the Captain Lou Extravaganza. Well, thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you next week. We'll be another great lineup of guests coming on. So don't forget to join us 8 until 10 p.m. Eastern Time right here on the 12-Ounce Sports Network. Hey, this reminder, keep your heads up, keep your sticks down, keep your feet moving, and as always, keep your minds open. Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us here live on the Captain Lou Extravaganza on 12-Ounce Sports.